All right, let's go ahead and get started. I know we should have a longer period of time to mingle. I wish we had all that time, but we can do that at our upcoming Fiesta block party next month. So, welcome to the August meeting. I hope you guys are having a great summer. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marco Cuevas, and I have the privilege of serving as chair for the Westside Community Council. And with me, we have our vice chair, Eric Werbolowski, our treasurer, Kay Zerbies, our secretary, Pete Freeman, communications, we have Helen in the back, Revite, we have Ron, and our board member Orlando is absent today. And also in the back, we have interpretation with Yvonne. So if anyone needs interpretation in Spanish, please go see Yvonne. Yvonne, can you come say that in Spanish? I didn't do my Duolingo today. Unfortunately, that was not a part of the sentences from last night. Okay, so we have again, please sign in the back. Write your email down so you can get information about our upcoming meetings. We have a Revite meeting later this month. Just a couple things to switch up on the agenda. We're going to actually put our new police chief ahead of the standing reports from the city. And then later on, we're going to have a GPAC update as well. So apologies for those corrections not having been done earlier. But without further ado, let's get started and welcome our brand new police chief, David Dickey.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I was told I had about an hour and 45 minutes to talk with you, so I've got a PowerPoint. So I know they normally come in and do kind of a crime update for you. That map was sent out. I believe it was distributed. So I just want to let you know, I've actually looked through the numbers here this afternoon. I got the map from Commander Hurd. Here it is. No significant trends other than what you're kind of used to seeing on the map here. So we monitor these actually like on a weekly basis at the command staff level. A couple of things of note. Clearly the Vons on West Main, that area, continues to cause some issues. Continues to cause some issues for us as far as the high volume of a high volume of calls. And also because of those calls, we get a high level of enforcement over there as well. And also then down around California Street, the C Street area, the Promenade, those areas are where we do a lot of patrolling because that's where a lot of the problems are. That results in a lot of arrests. It results in a lot of contacts as well. Before I go any further, there's no real trends. You continue to see that the #1 driver of crime in our city is typically larcenies and thefts. So people that leave things out accessible and they get stolen. Even those numbers for your area are relatively low with only 10 reported for the month. Are there any questions about any ongoing crime or issues or trends or anything like that within the area that you'd like me to address or maybe get some information for you on? All right, then I'm going to cut to kind of what I'm here for. So, hi, I'm David. Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to get a mic that works. There we go. Yeah, I was looking at the map earlier and I noticed all that stuff down around California and Santa Clara. Do you have any idea if there's a reason for that or if just happens to be because you guys are there more?
Yeah, so what we try to do is we don't just go out and randomly do enforcement activities. What we try to do is base our enforcement profile on the actual calls for service that we're receiving from the area. So this particular area is actually a high call for service area, which means we also put our resources there as well. So if you look at those and you break them down, a lot of those are related to calls for service or just what we call kind of proactive enforcement efforts, policing, to address complaints that we're getting from the area.
So any idea why you get more calls there than other places on the map?
Honestly, it's probably a combination of a couple things. One is it's a well-traveled area, and secondly, we have a higher homeless vagrancy, criminal vagrancy population in that area that we're responding to there on a regular basis on.
Thanks.
All right. Yep.
Chief, the council is getting a lot of email right now about Main Street, and people who want to open it to cars are saying they don't like to go there because there is so much crime. But I don't see a lot of crime on Main Street on your map.
Yeah, so I actually have received several requests about this. I actually had our crime analyst pull the data. our crime in that area is flat over the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's not a high volume area. We do get calls there, at a pretty consistent rate or clip, but there's nothing out of the ordinary that has piqued our interest as far as needing to put more resources there over the last 5 years. It's remained about flat. So crime is not up in that area.
Thanks for the clarity.
Welcome. Any other questions?
I was just curious, welcome to your new job, but where did we get you?
So, hi, I'm David. I've actually been working here in Ventura since 1997. I started off as a lateral police officer from the city of Port Hueneme. I worked over there for a couple years. Worked in Visalia before that for a year. I was born and raised here in Ventura County. Actually split a lot of my time between the city of Oxnard. My dad worked at the paper mill out in Port Hueneme for about 43 years. And I lived out by Point Magoo. We traveled here. My best friend actually grew up in the Dakota Tract. He's a police officer out in Simi Valley now. His name is Randy. So I grew up bouncing back and forth between Ventura and Oxnard. And I came up through the ranks here. I was an assistant chief for 5 years, up until May 16th when I got promoted to chief. So that's kind of my history here. Actually, a little known fact about me, I started back when they still used to do things like this, I actually started my career in Visalia as a 21 Jump Street officer working in high schools. We weren't going after kids. We were going after the people that were selling drugs to the kids. And that's what I did for the first year of my career up there after I graduated the academy. So lateral back home here to Port Hueneme. And after working over there for a couple years, making, true story, $15 an hour. It was a struggle for me to make my house payment back then. I came over to Ventura where I was making $21.50 an hour. And that was a big help in making the house payment. So, and I had some friends that I'd gone through the academy with that worked here as well. So that's my backstory. All right, thanks. So just really quick, I just want to kind of give you a heads up. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. So it is a true honor and privilege to be your new chief. I never, ever in a million years thought I would be occupying this position in the police department. It was a couple years ago, maybe, where I initially actually entertained the idea of it, maybe 3 years ago, but wasn't even sure then. And I love this department. I love this city. We have great people in the community. We have great people in the department. We have an amazing leadership team. You've met Sarah, Commander Hurd. You've met many other people who have come through here as well. I'm proud of this department, and it is a true honor and privilege to serve in this capacity. I talked a little bit about my vision. I think this is the final community council that I'll be meeting with, but we talk a lot about values-based policing. And what that means is that we hold people accountable to behaviors that are associated with the values that we in the community agree on. So when we talk about striving for excellence, we talk about integrity as a foundation. We talk about respect. We talk about professionalism. We talk about transparency. That's genuinely how we police this community. And my goal moving forward is also to make that how we genuinely treat each other within the department. And why that matters is because I'm really a firm believer that a healthy culture, especially those that are reinforced heavily by the leadership team, that creates an environment where people are cared for, respected. They go out in the community and actually provide an exceptional level of service. And that is what I aim to continue to strengthen with our police department. I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions, and then I'll take some questions. How many police officers do you think the city of Ventura has? Just throw a number out there. 140. How many calls for service a year do those 140 officers handle? 85,000 calls for service a year. How many beats, patrol beats, are in the city? 4. Typically have 2 to 3 officers working per beat over the course of a 24-hour day. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want to share some numbers with you. So we're in the middle of the Ventura County Fair right now. So we have our normal patrol staffing, and we're putting anywhere between 18 and 30 officers a day out at the fair as well to work additional shifts out there. The large chunk of our department. On any given day this week during the fair, we'll have about 50 total officers working on a daily basis. So it's over a third of our department potentially on a daily basis that's actually out there. We have about 20,000 people, 21,000 people on average per day out at the fair that we're providing security for. Do that over the course of the fair, we're looking over, 108, probably 200,000 or so people that we're providing security for. If you extrapolate how many people we come into contact with on a regular basis over the course of a year, my estimate is always in excess of 400,000 people. It's probably closer to 500,000 people. Why do I say that? Because 85,000 calls for service, 400 to 450, 500,000 individual contacts with our officers. How many arrests a year do you think we make? I'll guess for you. About 5,500 on an average year. So 400,000 contacts, 5,000 arrests. Okay. How many times do you think we use force on people? Get in fights, chase people, tackle people, that type of thing. Anybody else? So 400,000 contacts. How many? You think we do it 75% of the time? I would not have this job if that was the case. 113 times last year. How many of those resulted in a serious injury to the suspect? 0. How many do we average annually over the last 5 years where someone is seriously injured, has to go to the hospital because of force that the officer used on them? It's well less than 1. We average about 0.2 over the year over the 5-year period. Here's why I'm telling you this. There's a lot of misperceptions about what policing is. We absolutely sometimes get involved in big uses of force, but it is a very, very, very low percentage of the time. Most of the time what we do is we show up quickly to emergencies and we problem solve with people. And occasionally, 5,500 times a year, we make an arrest. Interesting numbers. And one of the things I said when I was actually my first event here that Councilmember Campos invited me to was the red dress event. It was my first day as chief, and they didn't fire me afterwards, which was great. And one of the things I said, and I'll leave you with this before I take any questions, is I am the police chief for the entire city of Ventura. I'm here as a public servant, and I take that role very seriously. We are here to serve. If you want to be in leadership on my team, you must be here to serve others. And that will be my entire mantra moving forward with all the leadership team in our department. And we set the example for the rest of the department. We're here to serve. This is your police department. And it is an honor and a true privilege to be here. So thank you for your time. I will absolutely take any questions that you have for me at this point. In the back.
Hey, Chief, thanks for coming. Our top cop here at WCC. Really appreciate it. And I mentioned we have a long history with this organization on participating in community policing and making inroads with Neighborhood Watch. And we think that's fundamental to our organization and building that network of public safety. And in that, as our neighbors who may not have my complexion for protection are afraid right now in our community about being held without trial and shipped to Louisiana in 24 hours. How do we address that? How do we tell them that it's okay now when we see the kinds of things that are going on in our community?
So I've addressed this every chance I can. So let me be very clear. In 2018, the state of California passed a law, and that law says that local law enforcement, us, cannot, will not, shall not, and have not been, I can speak for our department, been involved in any type of immigration enforcement. We don't help them. We don't assist them. We don't give them information. We don't do any of that. We don't show up with them. We do none of that. And so that has been our message. We put it out across all of our social media platforms. I've gone on the radio. I've gone on the newspaper. I've talked about it openly at council meetings. Just assure your neighbors that if they need police assistance, call 911 and we will show up. We don't ask immigration questions. We don't get involved in any of that stuff. That is not our role. It won't be, it can't be, and we follow state law. So that's the best answer I can give you. Any other questions for me at all? Yeah.
I read that you had an officer injured the other day in a chase. Just wondered how he's doing.
Yeah, we have a bit of a rash of injuries going on right now. So we actually have about, which is unusual for us, we have about 10 officers out on pretty severe orthopedic injuries right now that they sustained at work. 2 in 1 week this last week, actually both out of pursuits. An officer, we were chasing somebody who was a grand theft suspect and got into a big long pursuit. A motorcycle fell on our officer's foot and broke his foot. He's better. He actually just got the news today. He has to have surgery. But he's fine. He'll be out for a long time. Probably, I would estimate 6 to 12 months is my guess. So, yeah. So, any other questions for me at all? It does work.
Hello? Oh. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer the question, but there's some streets I'm seeing that are really, really unsafe for pedestrians. And so I'm wondering, when you do patrols and stuff and you get calls about like accidents or pedestrian hits and stuff, does that record somewhere? And then does that information, is it sent to you so you can start painting crosswalks and making places more safe for pedestrians?
Yeah, so the best answer I can give you is we do enforcement based on data. So when we get information calls, collisions, where we have high collision rates involving pedestrians or e-bikes or cars, our motor officers, when they're not working at the fair for 2 weeks out of the year, they actually focus their enforcement efforts in those areas. If there's an issue, so there's 3 E's to traffic, just bear with me for a second. There's education, which is engagement with the community, saying, hey, this area is unsafe. There's engineering, which is the crosswalks, signs, etc. And then there's the enforcement component. As the enforcement component, that's us. We go out and write tickets, do enforcement stops. So what we do is if we see an area that can benefit from either education or from engineering, we are the conduit to make that happen. So we reach out to traffic engineering based on data, based on what we're seeing. So that happens on a pretty regular basis. So long answer, short answer is yes, that's what we do. And if you have an issue, you can always reach out to us or our watch commander's line and share that information, or reach out to our traffic unit and they'll look into it for you. Okay. Any other questions? Really quick, so we talked about in community engagement. So I want to point out that we have a celebrity in the crowd. He's stalking me. It's Jeff. Jeff and I spend a lot of time together now. So Jeff and I have known each other for a couple of years. And so one of the things that we pride ourselves on here is like the community engagement side of things. So as a police department, we have no dedicated staff that only works on community engagement. So to put in perspective, we have 0 officers who that's their full-time job. But on average, every 3 days, we're doing a community event as a police department. Many of them with the housing authority right over here at Westview. We have, if Jeff doesn't even know this, but I have video now of Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday nights becoming like basketball and dodgeball with the cops. Our cops are stopping by over there just impromptu and hanging out at the courts and stuff. So partnerships like that are what make us successful. Partnerships like this are what make us successful. So again, I want to reiterate, we are here for you. We don't always do it perfect. And when we don't do it perfect, I'll show up and say, we did not do that perfect. But more often than not, we get it right. And that's because of the great relationships that we have here in the community with people like you. And I appreciate your support. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. I've been told not to make comments, but honestly, when he spoke about community, it made me think in terms of the idea, the fact that change doesn't just happen at City Hall, it happens here. And so I know later in the agenda, we're going to get to inviting people to membership, but I really want to encourage people, you know, we have our chief, or we have Commander Hurd come and give reports that it's important that if we have more community come to this room, that more can hear and provide feedback for what's happening locally on the streets. So I would encourage everyone to invite a neighbor next time, and hopefully we can fill this room. But thank you so much, Chief. Enjoy the fair. Next up, we're going to have Councilmember Campos give a City of Ventura update, which, again, you can also see her here every month. You don't have to go, you know, speak at public comment at City Hall, and she's readily available all the time. So tell your friends.
So we made a cute little slideshow for you tonight. It's only a couple of slides. I failed to speak with Alejandra, my other person from the city who gives a really good report. So I don't know if I'm going to overlap something of hers, but could I have the next slide, please? Okay. Construction's happening at city council chambers at the Ventura City Hall. And I don't know that everybody's heard this yet. If you want to come to council meetings and speak to council, they will not be at City Hall for the next few months. They will be at 57 North Day Road, the building formerly known as the Wright Library. It's been closed for several years, but it's adjacent to Ventura College and just south of the CAPS TV building on Day Road. So if you want to come to City Council and speak at meetings, that's where it'll be. As of today, we're not hooked up for remote speaking. You can watch on YouTube still, I hope, but the program isn't fully set up for speaking remotely. So if you have something to say to the council agenda that's upcoming, you need to email us. And a lot of people like to say, oh, have it there by, 2 o'clock on the day of the meeting. We don't get those till 3, and we go into closed session at 4. So if you really want us to read the email before the meeting, it should be there at least by Monday at noon, and then we'll get it before the meeting. Otherwise, we may not even see it until the meeting. That's very important. And then I think there may be another slide. Okay, in some of the upcoming meetings, I believe September 16th, there will be the Main Street open or close issue. I know the VC Star reported that it was a done deal. They're crazy. That is not what happened at the meeting. It was a long meeting. I guess the reporter fell asleep. What we voted to do was research some new information we had received and come back on September 16th to discuss a decision. So if you want to talk about Main Street moves, that's the meeting to come to. It's not that we're still taking applications for volunteers for the commissions in the city. It's kind of an ongoing process because there are people terming out all the time and or people moving away and having to leave commissions. And we do really depend on the volunteers who attend commission meetings and take responsibility for a lot more depth into some of the issues than we can do in a 7-hour council meeting. So there's several commissions. If you go online through the clerk's office, you can find out what they are. Alejandra may have more information about that tonight or anytime. You can ask her. I'm sorry, you're not on a microphone and we want it on Zoom.
I was just seeing what they paid and if there was any background check.
I think I said volunteer, so I doubt there's any pay. And there'll be a background check for you, Mr. Werbowski. I don't know about anybody else. We have a new food distribution site here on Ventura Avenue. Right now it's once a month. It's the third Friday of every month, I believe at 11 a.m. And that is for people who recently lost jobs or had a spouse or relative arrested and is having trouble having enough pay coming in to feed people. It's open to anyone, but it's going to be run through the Avenue Community Church. There's programs there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday each week. I'm not sure about Thursday, but any donations are welcome and can be dropped off there through the parking lot behind the fire department. Their front gate is usually locked. So off Ramona, behind the fire department, if you want to drop donations, you can just leave them right outside the kitchen door. The people inside will bring them in when they stumble over them. And list of items needed. Any questions before Alejandra takes over? Yes.
You know what's going on at the Burger King?
I learned tonight that it may become a Starbucks, which, you know, whether you like Starbucks or not is meaningless to me. It's something that's already, I don't know, written in stone, but it's been done through the community development department. They've got their permits in place. The construction's going on now. As soon as they're open, if you have problems with the traffic in and out of the parking lots, don't complain to the parking people, write to city council, and we'll see if we can do anything about it. I know Starbucks drive-throughs in parking lots are very difficult. So, and the other thing I want to just mention, not really city related, but somewhat city related, county related, country related, is that we, I believe about 60% of our neighborhood, up to maybe 68%, are people of color, people from other countries, people whose families have been here for 4 or 5 generations, but they're perceived as coming from other countries. And a lot of them are really suffering in fear because of what's going on in our county. For some reason, it hasn't touched Ventura very much. Only I think 13 arrests have been made in Ventura, or of people from Ventura. Some of those were legitimate and some were not. But what I want to ask is that we all be very aware of what's going on around us and in our country. Today I read that the federal government's constitutional law or Justice Department website removed all mention of the words habeas corpus, which is written into Article 3 of our Constitution, changed the language about citizenship of all types, and has a section that has been blacked out that says further changes coming. And any of us who went to school in the United States should know that an executive order doesn't change the Constitution. There's a process through Congress and then to the people. But there's a lot of belief among our Department of Homeland Security nationally that the president can change the Constitution. So as citizens, no matter what our political beliefs are or where we stand physically, economically, as citizens of the United States, we have to be on guard for the rise of fascism or for anything that will harm us as citizens. And I think when I looked at that website today, it was shocking to me that those changes are being made on a federal website that are illegitimate. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. It's something that has touched me personally, and I feel strongly about it. And I encourage everyone to be educated about what's happening around us and around the world. The rise of fascism all over the world is very bad right now. So I will now, on that joyful note, turn over the microphone to Alejandra.
Liz, can I just, over here, just a real quick follow-up to your meeting that's being held at the Wright Library. I spoke to the assistant public works director yesterday on another issue, so we got off on this tangent about the meeting. She said they're doing a lot of work in the library. I used to go to that library when I was a little kid. I grew up over there, but it's been 50 years, so I'm curious to see what they're doing. So if you want to see what the city's been up to over at the Wright Library, show up at the next meeting.
Also, we'd like to offer our services for Zoom because that's important.
Yeah, they're working on it with CAPS TV, but I will let them know, Marco, that the West Side Community Council is willing to volunteer hours and hours of time at no pay for that. And also, I will be personally welcomed into the building formerly known as Wright Library tomorrow morning to evaluate accessible areas. And I will take photographs and post it on Facebook and Instagram. So if you follow me, Liz Campos, on either of them, you can see where it will be or what it will be like as we're going to meet them. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alejandra Belalcázar, and I'm the communications liaison for the city of Ventura. And I typically come to all of these and give folks an update on events and programs. So we typically have a slide, and Councilmember Campos, we only overlapped on one. I will add our first meeting will be on August 19th at the Wright Library. So we have our State of the City address, and we'd like you to save the date for September 17th. The evening will kick off with an open house for everybody to attend. The whole community is welcome. From 4 to 6, we will have interactive booths. We will have some city services, tabling, and then we will do updates on ongoing initiatives. There will be some live cultural performances by local students, and we will also have a touch-a-truck experience with a couple of vehicles from the police and the fire department and public works. So please save the date. We'd love to see everybody there. As Councilmember Campos said, we are looking for some city board commissions. We're currently looking for folks to apply to the open seats on our Housing Authority Board and our Water Commission, and 2 of the city council's advisory groups that help shape important local policies and initiatives. So I have everything linked here too, and if you guys would like to check it out, please do so. We have a bi-weekly newsletter where everybody can get bi-weekly updates on everything that's going on in the city and just keep abreast of all of the good things that are happening in our city and all the news. This is one update that I wanted to give to folks here. We have the Telegraph Road resurfacing. This is one of our major street improvements, and it's one of our big thoroughfares in the city. So this work started at the end of July. We're currently starting to break ground. It's spanning from Ashwood Avenue to Hill Road, and the project will upgrade approximately 690,000 square feet of roadway, and this includes a lot of ADA compliant sidewalks, curb improvements, and upgraded pedestrian crossings, etc. So if you'd like to connect with me, I'm happy to answer any questions after the meeting, and I also have my business cards in the back. Thank you guys all for being here, and we'll connect soon. And yes, sir.
Can't get away from me.
No.
Where is the State of the City open house?
Oh, it will be at City Hall. Apologies. Yeah, we have all the information on there. I thought the photo on there was enough, but it will be at City Hall. So it's an open house for the whole community to come. And there's going to be some section of Polai that's going to be closed, where we're going to have the touch-a-truck event. So we will put out communication about that closer to the date. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you, Councilmember Campos. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to our vice chair. Eric is going to introduce our next guest speaker.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much. Wasn't that great to have the top cop here? And he confirmed his no-kill policy for residents. That's so nice. No, hey, some of my best friends are cops. Not really. But obviously, Jeff Lambert is part of the problem here. So it's good to put the name with the face. All seriousness aside, as a walker, I walk around and I walk downtown, and after the Pando, the Main Street moves, the pedestrian-friendly closure of downtown has been amazing for me. All my life is monkey versus robot, the game of Frogger everywhere I go. Show me one parking lot or area for commerce in Ventura where a car isn't kind of trying to pick you off in between flashing your credit card and getting back into your monster vehicle. Obviously, I'm biased. And, you know, I thought everybody wanted a pedestrian mall kind of experience at the end of Main Street. Why wouldn't they? But the more I talk to people, I'm like, oh my God, they're concerned about access. They think their store died because of the closure and all these other things. And it's about 50-50. A lot of people have their reasons. It may not be what I agree with. I may be able to persuade them that there's more significant overrides and rationale, and you're not going to live in that nostalgia moment. You know, at the turn of the century, they were concerned what we would do with all the horse poop in the street, projecting the population increasing and all the more horse and buggies and carriages. How would we deal with all the poop? And with the cars, we're still trying to deal with the poop. There may not be these cars. There may not be these polluting monsters running us down in the community. Obviously, I'm shading the issue a little bit, but I wanted to let you know that I see this issue as a major generational opportunity to shift Ventura to a greener, more pedestrian-friendly, progressive community that fulfills its place as a jewel on the South Coast, to be a legit tourist attraction. All right. And when I found out that there is a dedicated group of just informal folks that are putting the message out on saying why it's a good idea, and also refuting and demythifying the reasons why it should go back to a retro experience, I really thought, wow, Westside Community Council should align with this vision formally. And we did that as a board the other day, and then extend our support as an organization to this wild and woolly group known as people-oriented places, Ventura People-Oriented Places. I thought POP stood for pedestrian-oriented places, because that's my perspective. But people, I guess that's okay. People-oriented places, we'll go with that. They've done an incredible amount of work, and we're happy to have them here to talk about what they're doing, what the timeline is for some decision-making and advocacy that everyone can plug into, and what we see as the future. So I'd like to invite them up to do a presentation on what's going on. Edith, come on down. Thanks so much for coming. And also in the audience here, Alyssa is a cohort on POP. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you for giving us some space today to talk about the future of Main Street. I am part of Ventura POP. It is Ventura for People-Oriented Places. We did begin November of last year. We started as more of an urbanist group interested in the walkability and bikeability of the city. And while we were meeting, it ended up being that Main Street was at risk of being open to cars, so we decided to focus on that. But after this September 16th City Council meeting, we will continue to be in the city talking about walkability, bikeability, and connectivity of the city. But for now, I'm here about Main Street. So I have a little presentation, the future of Main Street, our walkable downtown. Can we go to the next slide, please? Awesome. So I want to start off with this quote. If you've been to the city council meeting, you probably have heard me talk about this. But if you plan a city for cars and traffic, you get cars and traffic. If you plan for people and places, you get people and places. Next slide, please. Thank you. I just want to talk about the impacts of car and noise and traffic. So the World Health Organization has stated that noise is the second largest environmental cause of health problems. And we have continuous exposure to noise through traffic, which honestly messes up central nervous systems and brains, especially of children. And there's something called traffic and induced demand. I know folks have said, let's open up Main Street. There's so much traffic. Well, there are studies showing that every new mile of roadway you build is 40% filled up with new trips and 100% full within 4 years. So it will not alleviate traffic if we open Main Street to cars again. Next slide, please. And then talking about air pollution, obviously, you know, we have heard from a lot of folks that they miss cruising down Main Street, and a lot of those cars are older and do emit a lot of non-combustion like emissions, and there's road dust and tire wear, so all of that affects our air.
and these have been linked to adverse birth outcomes and dementia. And we can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So I want to talk about the benefits of walkability. Walkable cities promote health. They reduce carbon emissions. They boost local economies. They foster community. It can enhance accessibility. I know Main Street right now has a bit of an issue with accessibility, but it can always be improved. And it creates cleaner, more inclusive, and vibrant urban spaces. You can see in the photo, there's children walking. It gives children independence without the fear of being mowed down by cars. It has safer streets because there's more eyes on the streets. There's more community there. And it promotes a shop local movement. If you've seen in downtown, there's a local Thursdays deal going on right now in downtown where there's a bunch of stores that are doing discounts or happy hours all day and just trying to promote a more shop local movement. Next slide, please. Awesome. And then just want to talk about safety. So I did ask Chief Dickey about pedestrian safety because I live really close to the fair and I almost got hit by a car like 4 times in the past week. And so pedestrian fatalities are a really, really like big thing. And you can see from the data during the 10-year period from 2010 to 2019, the number of pedestrian fatalities increased by 46%. And then for crime, this is an old stat that reported 5 years of crime data to City Council that it was relatively stable. We got an update today from the new chief of police that it has been flat for the last 7 years. So that's just another data point. I can go to the next one. Okay, thank you. So now that I've talked about the benefits of walkability and what Main Street being close to cars can do for a community, I just wanted to give some quick facts of right now. We know, sorry, it's a little out of order. I'm going to start at the bottom. The City Council voted for an indefinite closure January 28th. So the street is currently closed under the vehicle code. But on September 16th, there is a really big City Council meeting because they are going to be voting on the future of Main Street moves, whether it's going to be opened to cars or closed to cars. And what we do know is that the city budget includes $3 million for Main Street moves improvements. So whatever happens at City Council, there still will be removable bollards and they're still going to be working on beautifying the area. And just a stat that as of July 18th, 2025, there are only 8 active ground floor vacancies. And I do have a trifold information of Main Street moves like at risk, the status of Main Street before the pedestrian mall law vote, the status of it after, and what you can do, what's next, including city council members and the district map. And I also have saved the dates for the September 16th city council. We can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So I just, obviously we'll take questions after this, but I wanted to pose this question to y'all. If you would rather have a downtown that is quick to drive through or one worth arriving at. Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Anyway, I just don't understand like how this happened. Like I've read a lot of conspiracies on the subreddit about how the business. I just don't understand how they like turned back something that had just been signed in like relatively recently.
That's a great question. I probably should have started with how we ended up here, right? So like I said, Main Street Moves was already legally car free. And the city wanted to further protect this status using the pedestrian mall law. If you've seen, there was boards all across downtown saying that property owners could send in their objections. And if more than 50% of property owners, not business owners, not business owners and not residents, if 50% of property owners objected, then they can't revisit the pedestrian mall law for another year. So there was 56% of the frontage, so they voted based on frontage of that street that would be closed to cars. if 56% objected. So they halted the process. But there's also 2 pending lawsuits against the city that made them really nervous about keeping the street closed to cars through vehicle code. So instead of just moving on and keeping the street car free, they decided to make a final decision on September 16th. And so what we have to do, if you feel really impassioned and emboldened, and if you really want to show city council that it's important to you, is to show up on September 16th. And the vote was just property owners, but we've spoke to many business owners that are in support. And it's not just restaurants, it's not just bars, it's also retail. So there's a diverse amount of business owners that are alongside the let's keep Main Street moves going. Let's keep the street closed to cars. So it is unfortunate that that happened, that there's a vote, even though it was voted indefinitely to be closed to cars, but we can't give up. And I have little save the dates in the back if you want to know how you can be involved. So I hope that answered the question.
Where can I find a list of businesses that voted yes, so I can never fucking go?
We try to promote the economic vitality of downtown. So we just want to support downtown. Thank you. Are there any more questions or something I can clarify? Yeah.
So my question is, when there was, unfortunately, it wasn't a city council trend, can you tell us what is the opposition of the property owners as to why they need to close it if there's so many business owners? And we all know we get on social media and we'll say, oh, businesses are hurting and such, and it's a ghost town. I mean, we walk there. It's not a ghost town. Businesses are thriving. What is the opposition? Property owners, that's normal. There's lots of turnover that happens as attrition. Businesses aren't open or not offering what they're about. It's online. What is the opposition? Wonderful for the
That is a great question because that's something that members of Ventura Pop are having a hard time understanding because we don't really see the logic because there have been some property owners that objected to Main Street moves when their tenants themselves like Main Street moves, so they voted against their tenants' interest. They're saying that because you can't park in front of certain stores that it's hurting businesses, but we've heard from Rocket Fizz, they talked at City Council saying that they had a 100% increase in sales. We have Corazon Cocina that just opened. Findings Flea opened in a spot that was empty for over 10 years. There's a gelato place opening up. There's a salon opening up next to Night Owl. So you see there's a lot of businesses and vibrancy already in downtown. And we don't really understand the claims that are being made by the property owners, especially their claims and damages. But we just like to remind folks that those are just claims and they're not really based in reality.
what I thought. There's no statistics backing this up.
Compare and contrast. So there's lots of vacancies in the mall, and then there's vacancies along Midtown. And gee, it'd be nice to extend or have another vehicle-free space, maybe Midtown. And so what's the relative vacancy on Main Street most area versus Midtown? And then the prospects of extending or adding more vehicle-free spacing.
I like the optimism of more car-free streets. I'm going to ask my fellow member, Alyssa, to answer some vacancy questions because she's really good with the facts.
So we haven't determined the Midtown vacancy rate yet. As of today, the vacancy rate downtown is 5%. First quarter 2025, the CBRE report for retail vacancy for the city of Ventura is at 7%. And I walked the mall the middle of July, and that vacancy rate is 30%. Need to work on Midtown. It's just tough when we all have full-time jobs. But I'm going to get to it, and I'll get you that number. but I can say that for the comparisons that we have done and for the city as a whole, Main Street Moves is performing better in terms of vacancy rate than the mall or Ventura.
Thank you so much. And then in terms of adding more car-free streets, I don't know if y'all have heard of Ciclavia. That's in LA. I believe it started in Colombia, but they have miles of car-free streets. And I would love in the future, if Ventura Pop ever gets funding, to do something similar where we have miles of car-free streets once a year just to enjoy the fresh air and community.
I have a quick 2 comments. One being the West Side Community Council is probably the first of all the other councils to take a formal vote on their position to support Main Street Moves and it remaining car-free. The other councils, we have asked them also to determine if that's something they want to support so we can reconvene and maybe provide a unified letter if that's something they choose to do. So in the meantime, tell your friends who live in other parts of the city to go to the other community council meetings and let them know what your opinion is, because I sense Midtown and either the East Side may need some support in that arena. And then as a private citizen, I did hear, could be a wild rumor, I don't know, that the property owners have some sort of financing scheme where they reward increased rent year over year. So they're willing to leave a vacancy if it and not charge that increased rent for multiple months, and have the tenant pay higher rent for this remaining months if it can show that year over year increase in rent. So that's something that someone told me that negotiates with the landowners. So that could be a reason why they're not super supportive of the continued closure, maybe just kind of using that to scapegoat. Have not verified that independently though, but it is a confusing situation, and any intel that we can find from the West Side community side, we're happy to share that with everybody.
Thank you so much. And I do have here, we're collecting signatures from residents if they want to sign. It says to Ventura City Council, I want Main Street Moves to be permanent. Please do not reopen Main Street to cars. If you agree, you can sign it. We will be at the farmers market every Saturday. We're at the fair today and tomorrow, and we will be at Ventura Pride. So you'll see us around. Thank you.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to add, the WCC did form an ad hoc committee for this purpose, and we really invite everyone to join and participate in the process as we try to further this endeavor to keep Main Street car-free. Get in touch with us over email, or we can take your information here at this meeting if you'd like to participate in these discussions and help the cause. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Helen, and thank you, Edith and Alyssa and Ventura Pop for being here today. Yes, as Helen mentioned, we took a formal vote this past Monday to take a support position, and hopefully the other community councils will. Oh yeah, actually, this would be good really quick if Pete can, if we'll count. Okay, who here is in support of keeping it closed, car-free? Raise your hand. Eric, do you not want to vote? Abstain. Okay. All right. All those that, a couple abstain. Okay. Anyone that is against or wants to open it back the way it was before? That's none. That was unanimous. So, all right, that's noted in the record as well. That segues into actually a comment. I was like writing some notes down, and it's basically just plan for the future you want, not from the past that does not exist anymore. I think there's a certain sentiment that a lot of people have that they remember the nostalgia of what Main Street was. And honestly, personally, growing up, I didn't really go down there that much. I go there more now than I did before. I mean, there's probably other reasons as well, but the reasons that people have in terms of being able to park in front of a space, that was always a luxury. I always parked behind the theater. And so honestly, there's just such a great vision that if we just, finally say one way, because I think the other thing is there's been flip flop, and it's like, what's it going to be? And no one wants to invest in something that has an unknown. And so if we finally put a vision behind what we want Main Street to be, then we'll have that. All right, that was my soapbox. It basically, it starts with, you know, whoever was the first one in Ventura Pop gathered a few. Now they have that group, and it leads to a movement. This is a true movement. So when Eric, you know, just like a week and a half ago, was like, this should be what we need to do, and we met with Ventura Pop and are getting the ball rolling a month and a half up to this September 16th city council meeting. You know, I sense momentum here, but it takes work. It takes action from all of you. There's a lot of fallacies that need to be debunked, and yeah, just show up, take action, volunteer, and that's basically all I have to say on that front. Yeah, you want to add something? Go ahead.
You know, when I saw the poppers down at the farmer's market, they're like, sign our petition. And, you know, for me as an old-time environmental activist, that's kind of triggering, right? But the amount of petitions I've signed, shit should be fixed by now, right? But I was like, I want to give you money. Instead, they go, we can't take your money. I'm like, really? And that was part of my motivation to say, what about a nonprofit fiscal agent for this kind of infrastructure, making a better neighborhood? And I've been advocating for this, and so far Pop is like, no, we're going to be soul surfers, and we're going to do it from the heart, and we don't want to take any money because we don't want to risk the public profile of being mercenary. I'm like, oh my God, that's cute. Here, take the money. Come on. So we're going to raise money for it in our ad hoc committee, and we're going to help offset like street events and rallies and printing and publicity. And we're not going to pay anybody to gather signatures because number one, not that big in the signatures, and two, we don't have that kind of budget. But we do want to raise money as well, and we have that capacity as a nonprofit organization. And I think it's going to be a membership builder for our organization as well. All right, thank you.
The mic over here. All right, I'm going to count that as a part raising money, part invitation to membership, part of the agenda. Next, I'm going to invite Pete, if he's ready to give a general plan update.
This will be real quick. For those who don't know me, I'm Pete Freeman, Secretary, and I was also on the General Plan Advisory Committee for the last 5 years. And Eric, no, volunteering does not pay you anything. You do it out of the goodness of your heart. So just the general plan, and we've been working on it for 5 years. It's coming to an end. Thank you, like nothing. But if you want to comment on the draft general plan or the draft EIR for the general plan, that comments are due by August 16th. And you can find them at planventura.com. And it's pretty easy. You just go on, if you want to read the report, that you can go on and comment on any part of the report you want. I just want to let everybody know that your last chance to do it.
No questions for Pete? Well, thank you, Pete, for serving 5 years. I know that was, what, twice as long as you were expected to serve. We finally have a guiding document for the city of Ventura, so thank you for your service. Kay, next up, we have our treasury report. We're going to have Kay come up and give that. We got some numbers, not good numbers, but good. Yeah.
Well, I've been on Ventura Avenue now 68 years. My husband used to make mattresses in this place. So that's been a few years. But I enjoyed being the treasurer. And right now we do have $365.37 in our bank account. Probably all of it. He keeps us afloat. Seriously. But I'm glad you guys all showed up. I expected more, but you guys were supposed to be there. Otherwise, you wouldn't be. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Kay. I thought she was going to ring everyone for money. Yeah, we need to diversify our funds. So if you want to help us keep our organization afloat, so yeah, go see Kay in the back. Oh, there's some in the back. Oh, thank you for those that donated. Okay. Yeah, I think part of the money that she mentioned is going to our insurance bills right now. We want to do more things for more initiatives like advocating for keeping Main Street car free. But yeah, if anyone wants to help donate money or knows someone that can donate money, please. Next up, I'm going to have Ron go over Revite. That's our last update, I believe, for the evening.
What do you want for your neighborhood, our neighborhood? We see our role as enablers to help people who want to make positive changes in our neighborhood get the job done, making connections with city government, with all kinds of organizations and agencies and so on. So we have a couple of conceptual programs that we're promoting, like promoting gardens in people's yards, community gardens, street tree planting, planting fruit trees and such in public spaces on private yards and such. So if any of that kind of thing looks good, come on down the last Wednesday of the month, 6:30 at WCDC, the West Side Community Development Corporation office. It's just off Olive there in that strip mall. And any questions or anything? Oh, and in the interest of growing your own food, Eric brought some seeds from Seeds of Change. We have had this wonderful heirloom seed festival at the fairgrounds for the last 2 years. Unfortunately, they decided not to do it this year. So we're having our little seed swap. Usually we encourage people to take the seeds, grow the plants, and then collect the seeds and then bring them back to share them the next seed swap. But take the seeds, plant them, grow them, and enjoy the produce. Any questions? Yes. August 27th, yes? I think that's it. 6:30. So kind of parallel times with the this meeting. The what? Oh, the Kentucky Stompers. Yes, at the bigger. Yeah. So, any projects that you would like to work on, come talk about it. We'll see how we can support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Yes, there's a lot of work that happens outside of this meeting. That one will be at our West Side Resource Office, 110 North Olive Street, Suite J, which not for long. We will be moving offices in a couple months, and we'll let you know more about that as it happens. But having a space, resource space for the community from both us as well as our sister organization, the West Side Community Development Corporation, currently is over there off Olive. And so we have meetings for Revite. We have our new ad hoc car-free Main Street ad hoc committee. And please sign up for our newsletter and you'll get more information on that. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We have no old business. I don't believe we have any announcements, but if anyone has any announcements or otherwise any other comments they want to make. Yes, Helen.
So Tom's chair in the back, I run the AV. I'm gonna start working with the Workforce Development Board to see if we can get a paid internship. So if anyone knows a student, I think they have to be between 15 and 24, who would like to enter into an internship and do social media management and help us run the AV equipment, and do some of the communications and help with that stuff as well. That will be offered soon. If we don't have anyone in mind, we'll just do a job posting and then we'll circulate it. But it would be really great if we could get a West Sider in that paid spot. So, FYI. Oh.
Yes,
Never
thank
too
you.
young. Thank you.
By the time they grow up, it'll be something even I don't even know how to use from technology. But yes, thank you, Helen, for running our communications committee. Yeah, that's another committee if anyone wants to be involved in. It takes all of you guys to be able to grow the organization, the capacity of what we can do. With that, if there's any other comments, we can actually. Wow, normally we're over. We're not only on time, we're a little bit early. Our next general meeting will be first Wednesday of September, September 3rd. Thank you all for being here, and please feel free to mingle with your neighbors before you leave. Good night.